Welcome back to another edition of New York Got Game. Dexter Henry here. Bryan Fonseca, Knicks Weekly Live before the Knicks. Got a couple games coming up against the Miami Heat, which means I expect the chat to be on fire because it's against their rivals, the Heat. Interesting stuff to talk about. Before we get to that, we are going to talk about the biggest news that just came down within the hour before us starting this live, and that is around Jalen Brunson. Now, we recorded an episode last night, myself and Bryan. We knew Jalen Brunson had rolled his ankle. Mike Brown had confirmed that to us in the press conference. When we left the Garden, we saw the news with some of the beat reporters, including now Stephen Bondi, had said that Jalen Brunson was on crutches and in a walking boot, and that set off all kinds of alarms for people. Because anytime, and look, I'll tell you, somebody who's tore their Achilles has been in a walking boot. Being in a walking boot's not fun at all. I've never had to be on crutches. I'm sure that's also not fun.
Have been on crutches before, actually.
Got you. So you have been on crutches before.
During right before basketball season started, actually. My coach was not happy with me because I sprained my ankle just playing, in the park, playing basketball in the park. We were getting ready for the season.
At least you were playing basketball.
I was, yes.
At least you weren't doing something else.
I was off the crutches, though, in like 3 days. It wasn't that serious.
Now, speaking of things not being that serious, Jalen Brunson has been diagnosed with a grade 1 ankle sprain. Every Knick fan has to be breathing a sigh of relief. When you saw crutches, walking boot, the worst things went to people's head. I said it last night when I recorded something to before that episode. We don't want to speculate. You never want to do that, especially as a journalist. I will not do that. But you start thinking some of the worst in what could happen. Now, one thing I did say is Jalen Brunson, and I think this is very interesting with this diagnosis here. Jalen Brunson, we've seen him have ankle stuff before. We've also seen him bounce back very quickly before. Grade 1 sprain, the lowest grade you can have. That is good. Grade 1 sprains, you typically recover anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks. For most people, can go up to 5. I will share this. I just had recently had a grade 1 sprain of my left wrist that occurred 5 weeks ago. The recovery process was, I would say, 4 weeks is when I started feeling good. So just last week, this was the 5th week on Tuesday since I had the injury, and I've been out of like wearing a wrap on my wrist for about a couple of weeks now. So it depends how you heal. Jalen Brunson's a little younger than me, so he should heal a little faster. But ankle, wrist, tough areas, need a lot of flexibility. Correct. Understand all that.
Not to compare ourselves to NBA players.
No, I'm not trying to do that. But just want to let people know about the healing process. Yes, I'm not that. I've had a grade 2 ankle sprain before. That's rough. So trust me. I've had a grade 1 ankle sprain. I've had grade 1 ankle sprains before. Yeah.
And if you've played basketball at any level, you've sprained your ankle. Probably multiple times.
Yeah. So I think this is, honestly, you don't want to be without Jalen Brunson, but this is fantastic news because all things considered, could have been a lot worse.
Now, what you don't want is the lingering aspect of this and the re-injuring aspect of this. So I think the Knicks have to be especially careful, and I suspect that they will be, because this is November, because this is so early in the season. You do not rush this man back. Any NBA team, you do not. Bam Adebayo's hurt right now for the Heat, and we know how much he means to the Heat. You do not rush him back from what he has is a toe injury, like a sprained toe, which is also a very tricky, tedious, annoying injury, especially for NBA players, as is a sprained ankle. I do think that I haven't seen as much of this, admittedly, as I thought I would, because the time of when Jalen Brunson got hurt late in the fourth quarter, and I did want to ask, did you have any issue after the fact with, he left him in too long? Because I do feel like Tibbs was like a live wire in this way. I think the media would have seized on, I'm saying this as a media member, I think fans also would have seized on Tibbs, like, you left him in for so long, because that's his reputation. I did think in the moment, I was a little surprised that he hadn't pulled the plug earlier, although at that point, the bench had gotten up. I don't remember if they were up at that exact point in the game. It was less than 2 minutes to go. The game was out of reach at that point, and they were about to unload the bench. I did think you could have done it maybe a minute or so sooner. Is probably nitpicky, and I don't think Mike Brown is the reason Jalen Brunson rolled his ankle. But I did want to get your thoughts on that in terms of the timing of it, because
Yeah,
he didn't need to be on the court at that point.
I agree he didn't need to be on the court at that point, but I do think it's funny, and I saw the same thing too. And I remember watching the game last night, and I was sitting next to the homie Chelsea Sherrod from SNY, and we had said the same thing. I think it was after Desmond Bane hit a three to put him back up 15, and I was like, okay, let's get it. It's right. It's a wrap. That's it. It might have been like 3 and change to go. I could be wrong. Might have been just under 4. Might have been like 3:45 to go in the game. I might have that wrong. If anybody in the chat remembers, correct me if I'm wrong. But I do remember you did then see, maybe it was a minute later, you saw Mike Brown have Pacome Dadier and Ariel Hakporti.
Once I saw Dadier and Kolek, I was
so
like,
he was there. Was he a minute late? Yes. The only people that's going to care about him being a minute late is the minutes police, right? Because y'all check everything with time. And I understand. Here's my thing. If you were on Tibbs for this, then you got to keep the same energy to some degree. But it also doesn't mean that your energy can't be ridiculous. 2 things can be true, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mike Brown should have got him out there a minute earlier or whatever earlier. How do I know he wouldn't have still rolled his ankle a minute earlier or not have had it happen a minute later? I have no idea. You don't know. I always say this, and I'll continue to say this. These are not perfect situations. These are not robots. Coaching is not pushing buttons. Now, the Knicks only got a grade 1 sprain, and I'll get into how this might actually, we'll get into this later and real or not,
of course,
could be beneficial for the Knicks in some way, and some of the other players. We'll get to that a little bit later. But this is also going to be part of their early season adversity. You know, sometimes adversity is how you deal with injuries. We saw the Knicks handle this pretty well late last season. You know, I always say this, you want your injuries early, not late. You want them early. Now, doesn't mean you can't get multiple of them.
Right. That's the thing. You don't want them to linger. That's the other thing.
Yeah, but here's what you want when you don't want it to linger. You want time to have it not linger, time to recover properly, time to allow that player to rest. So even if it's 1 to 3 weeks and Jalen Brunson come back in 3 weeks, I look at this as Jalen Brunson's out a month plus.
Interesting.
That's how I look at it. Yeah, because you got to take it easy. You don't want any chance for re-aggravation. Now, Jalen Brunson has been a quick healer. If this was later in the season, I might say it's close to 3 weeks. But I'm like, if it's 3 weeks and you feel good, take that other week. Because I do think there's a point of there's a couple things we got to understand. There's that point where it's like you can play, right? Or you can do some things, but you know you're not 100%. And there's a point where you're like, oh, I feel comfortable doing all the things, cutting, jumping, all that stuff. Now, look, lower extremity injuries are tough, because you still want to stay in shape. You still want to get the cardio. You can't run the way you like. Maybe you can get on a bike. That is helpful, but that is sometimes not the same as running and mimicking that. Maybe you can get into a pool and do some things there. But it is a challenge to recover. But I think the Knicks are going to be extremely cautious with him. That's why I said I wouldn't shock me if it's closer to a month. They say day to day, but I don't know with Jalen Brunson, because he's, you know what I'm saying? He might pick up another ankle at the ankle store like next week. And you know, we're good.
We've seen him do in the playoffs. Like, he rolled his ankle. He went to the back to get a new ankle, and he's fine. A month would be, for a grade 1, would maybe surprise me a little bit, but I also think the conservative approach, at least in this instance, is probably the correct one. There's a joke in there that I'm not going to touch. I do think that with Jalen Brunson now heading into this home and home with the Heat, and assuming he's out for both of them, because they did generalize it. They're like, look, out the first game. So he's not playing definitively tomorrow, Friday, for people who may have not read this or whatever the case may be. You're just popping on. Thank you. We salute you. Shout out to Donut Dan in the comments, who follows me on my channel. And anyone else, please feel free. But he's not playing tomorrow. He's going to be reevaluated after on a daily basis, which is just NBA injury bullshit. like in this climate with the NBA now, every single injury, not every single injury, that's an exaggeration, but a lot of injuries are listed as day-to-day initially before they, you catch on to like them being gone for an extended period of time. LaMelo Ball has been day-to-day for the amount of time he's been out, which is over a week at this point. Like, it just happens. And it's also an ankle injury, so I feel like that's relevant to bring up. Somebody else who's had ankle injuries in the past, by the way, although more significant ones than Jalen Brunson. Like he's had ankle injuries derail entire seasons before. So if he's out a month, I mean, we're gonna see some things, probably some experimentation. We'll talk more about that, but I think the main thing is you do want him more than 100% if possible, because the Knicks are playing faster. They're not playing fast by today's NBA standards yet in terms of pace. They're not even in the top 20. We talked about this last night from the Garden, after the game. But they are playing faster than they've played at any point in the Tom Thibodeau era. They're playing as fast as they've played in several years at this point. And for Jalen Brunson to do all those things and to still have the usage that he's going to have, which I'm going to try to find right now, but it's like you need him to be 100% because it's still an incredibly demanding job, an incredibly demanding profession, an incredibly demanding season for the Knicks, for you, the fans, media, everybody involved, because there's just a lot that boils into it. And like, you can't rush him back. He re-aggravates it. And then you're looking at, oh boy, like this is something that could linger on for however long. Like it's going to be in the back of your mind the entire time. And also to reference the usage, Jalen Brunson's usage, by the way, is still very high, 32.1, like significantly the most usage on the team, which we are not surprised by. It was 29.5 last season and 32.5 the year before. And that was the last year before they traded for karl-Anthony Towns. So just something to monitor. I think when he does eventually come back, that should drop a little bit. Like it's something that should drop. And part of why he probably rolled the ankle last night, if you want to get into it, was like, look, Orlando is a tough team to play in a second half of a back-to-back. And in that game in particular, it was one of those Knicks games that a lot of the fans dread, where nobody else seemingly had it going consistently enough, and Jalen Brunson had to put the cape on, but it wasn't enough, having to overcompensate, and then you just make the wrong move at the wrong time. Like it happens.
Yeah, and it happens. It definitely happens sometimes. We'll get more to Jalen Brunson and the injury news surrounding him. Grade 1 ankle sprain for him. Will be out tomorrow against the Heat. Speaking of the Heat, we're going to talk about the Knicks-Heat matchup. We've got a fantastic guest joining us here on this week's Knicks Weekly Live. You guys may know him from 5 Reasons Sports. Does a lot of work covering the Heat. Our guy, Ethan Skolnick, joins us now. Ethan, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I didn't know Bryan was going to be here. I did not know that I would have accepted.
You know what?
Much appreciated.
You know what,
Ethan?
Ethan?
With you, Derek. Yes.
No, man, Ethan.
Dexter,
I
you do this a lot, Ethan.
Dexter, I do that too. I do that too. If I didn't do that, I'm sorry, man. It wouldn't be me. I got to do that.
Nah, it's all good. I understand.
I'm going to call Bryan Bob.
Not wanting to be around Bryan.
Brian's faking being a Heat fan, Dexter. Brian's faking being a Heat fan just to be in my network. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
I have friends on all sides of the party.
Nah, yeah, don't let him fool you, people. We might know where his
both teams play hard.
Both teams play hard. I should have worn my both teams play hard shirt. I should have had that on. Great. I should have worn it. Ethan, I'm glad you are well. Glad to talk to you about the Heat. I guess where I want to start with is the Heat look so different this year, right? Yeah. Which could be a testament to the great coaching that we've seen over the years from Erik Spoelstra, but they're playing with great pace. They're moving. Even this game, I think we'll watch tomorrow. This is not like your old Knicks-Heat matchups of the late 90s. This is completely different from that. What do you make of the way the Heat are playing this season? Is playing with this pace sustainable for them with the 5-out style they're playing with right now? See Bam shooting more threes when he was healthy. What do you make of the way they're playing this season?
I kind of miss those late 90s games. I need a little Hardaway, Sprewell, Van Gundy stuff going on. Enjoyed all of that. I was courtside when PJ Brown threw Charlie Ward, which I'll never understand that one because
I won't either.
2 of the nicest people you ever meet off the court, and it was very odd that the 2 of them would have got into it. No, it is completely different. I remember, every year the greatest lie ever told is the Miami Heat are going to run more, and so I asked Spo about it in training camp in Boca, and he's like, players are full of crap, basically is what he said. He said, because you tell them, they say they want to run, and then you ask them to run, and they don't run. This year they're running, and they've been running from the start, but it's not really the running that's been as much the difference. It's been the kind of supposed to giving up control is really what this is about. And I think there are only so many coaches in the NBA who have the leeway to do that, because Eric knows he's never getting fired. That's not the case with other coaches. So you can experiment with some things, and you also can empower your players. And that's basically what's happened. I mean, I asked Norm Powell about it, and Norm got to camp and he was like, "Wow, this is different. We're not running a bunch of pick and rolls, and we can make decisions, and it's read and react, and we're going to play off of each other." I don't think it's a surprise that Spo would try something different, because he's tried a lot of different things over the years. I think the surprise is that the players have acclimated to it as well as they have, with the exception of the fourth quarter and the second game against the G League Cleveland team, which they blew. Other than that, they have really taken to it, and they have a lot of guys who are capable of making pretty quick decisions. Jaime Jaquez Jr. has really flourished in this offense again until that game. This is a player who, as a rookie, was first team all rookie. Second year was pretty much unplayable. And now he looks like a better player than he did his rookie season. Powell's been terrific. Heat people were telling me in training camp he's going to be an all-star. He's trending that direction. He scored at least 22 in every game. And, and obviously without Tyler, they've needed that. We'll see how it works when Tyler returns. He's not going to be back for this game in New York, although he is traveling. They all make the trip to New York, even if, of course. And Bam is making the trip too, but he's not going to play either. But the pace thing has made them a completely different team. We will see if other teams adjust to it, and we'll also see if when Herro comes back, if they are going to mix in a little bit more pick and roll. I do think with Tyler back, they will deviate a little bit, and they also need to get Kel'el Ware involved, and pick and roll helps him get some lob dunks and things like that.
One other player that didn't come up, because you talked about some, and we'll get to some of the other guys that you just mentioned here, but Andrew Wiggins, he's been good too. He looks comfortable in Miami. I don't know if we want to call it a revival for him. We know how good he was. We saw him during that 2022 run with the Warriors and how good he was as a two-way player. Do you feel like his play and what he's doing right now in this Heat system is sustainable, Ethan?
I do. So much of Wiggins' discourse is about his mood. It's interesting. In Minnesota, he was cast to be something he's not. I remember covering the lead up to that draft. I was a Bleacher Report at the time, and they had me follow Wiggins around for 2 weeks. I don't think he said 3 words as a rookie. He's not extroverted, and they were trying to make him into like Maple Jordan, like the next Bron. Like I covered
Maple Jordan. I remember that.
Remember that?
Yes, I do, Ethan. I remember that.
Some of the sickest highlight mixtapes you will ever see.
No, it was. I mean, he was the toast of Canada. I remember he visited the Heat locker room in, I think, 2013. We were up with the team in Toronto during the big 3 years. A big deal was made of him, but he's not that personality. He's not. He's incredibly introverted. When he smiles, it's the broadest smile you'll ever see. The question is, can you get the smile out of him? And he didn't smile a lot after he came to Miami last year. And I think if you look at the circumstances, first thing, he won a championship with Golden State. He was comfortable with the head coach. He found a role that didn't ask him to be the lead guy, but he could be for stretches of the game. I think that fit him better. And he also had a baby around a year before the trade. And all of a sudden and I don't even think it was a year. And obviously he's got to abandon his family for a period of time and go to Miami. And then he's wearing 22. He's the guy to replace Jimmy. I think all of that stuff wore on him. He was not good in that playoff series at all. Now, none of them were, but he was really bad. And then he kind of ducked down on the exit interview with the media. So we went into this offseason thinking, all right, does he want to be here or not? And then the Heat had to shoot down rumors that were mostly coming from Los Angeles. I never really got the sense the Heat were shopping him, but there were a couple of reporters who were beating the drum from LA about Lakers getting him. And the Heat actually had to come out during the summer. I was out in Vegas and let us know we're not trading him. And we're going to at least see what this looks like in training camp. And you've seen him get more and more and more comfortable. He doesn't have to be the lead guy, but there are pockets of the game where it's like, well, where did that come from? And there's this like flourish where he'll score 7 straight in rhythm, and you won't hear from him offensively for a quarter, but he's given them some of that. And he's also really bonded with Norm Powell, which I think that's been a real positive in the locker room for a lot of people. And so the smile's there. And I think when he's content, he'll play well. He has, as long as he doesn't dribble too much, he can pretty much do everything else. And so he's been good for Miami, and we'll see how long it lasts.
So matchup wise, they're not going to have Bam for at least his first game, maybe both, but we'll see. The Knicks do still have Mitchell Robinson, who's not going to be on the back-to-back heading into tomorrow, who's not going to be on the back-to-back heading into Monday, along with Karl-Anthony Towns.
22 offensive rebounds, Brian.
Right, so that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's like the Heat's only other center, other than Khalil Ware, is on a two-way contract who they won't play. No. Vlad Goldin, who's a stiff, who's 24 years old.
I mean, that's a harsh word, Brian, but like
he is.
He doesn't move especially quickly. Let's just say that. It's euphemism.
That's too many words, Ethan. That's too many words.
It takes him time to get from one place to another. That's all.
Who doesn't really
slow trade.
Who also doesn't make sense with their offensive system, but they won't. It won't happen. And we've seen the Knicks. I mean, we've seen the Heat actually win some games where they've been out rebounded. More recently against Charlotte, where they were out rebounded by like 20. And against Portland, where they were out-rebounded by 10. And Donovan Clingan had 5 rebounds in the first 6 minutes. So how problematic is this matchup now? Because you don't have Bam this time. They beat the Knicks with Bam last time. And Mitchell Robinson, like, there's no day-to-day before or back-to-back before or after. Like, are they going to be able to withstand potentially 22 offensive rebounds?
No. Actually, Cooper Moorhead of Heat.com had a great stat on this. This was prior to the meltdown against Cleveland, the second game, where they are 3rd in the league in defensive rebounding percentage when Bam is on the court, and they are 30th when he is not.
Wow.
So the fact that he's not an elite rebounder on his own, although if he played 75 games this year and averaged 9 rebounds, he would have passed UD this year, I think, as all-time rebounding leader for the Heat, which I think UD is probably happy Bam's missed some time because it looks like it's going to happen next year. And UD is probably going to come back out of the Amazon studio, I think, out of that. Because, Brian, didn't UD come out and he said that he knew that he couldn't play anymore after he saw Hassan Whiteside and then UD played 7 more seasons? Anyway.
Yes. Yeah, he said that.
He did say
he's like, when they first got Hassan Whiteside up in here, and I'm like, you played for 10 more years after they got him.
10 more years. He's got that house in Southwest Ranches. He needs to keep it going. Mr. 954. Anyway, point is, okay, that they can't defensive rebound because you know that Ware doesn't really jump twice. And that's part of what they're trying to figure out. And they have not taken care of their bigs off the bench. Like I mean, they made a decision. They brought Precious in. I know you guys are familiar with Precious. They were familiar with Precious.
Yep.
They decided he wasn't worth going over the luxury tax for. So they're not going to add another big until mid-December when it wouldn't push them over the tax. They worked out Kai Jones. They worked out some others. Whether Spo would actually play the guy, I don't know. Like you said, Golden's kind of taking up a two-way, but he doesn't fit the modern NBA big. They need a run and jump guy off the bench. Like they
Moses
just need,
Brown.
Yeah, they just need somebody who can basically a vertical spacer, who can block some shots, that kind of thing. They don't really have that. And I know you are the world's biggest Niko Jovic fan. I'm probably second.
He's not a 5.
He ain't a 5, and he doesn't rebound.
Why did they keep playing him at the 5?
Because they don't have anybody else. Who are they?
Yes, that's
the answer.
Davion? That is the answer. They don't have anybody else.
Listen. Knicks fans watching this. Nikola Jovic is a small forward
who I love too. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of his
who will
too.
get center minutes out of desperation. So you will see Jovic trying to guard even Gershon Yabusele.
Brian, he went without either of them the other night. He had Wiggins playing the 5 for 2 minutes, and that was when Donovan Clingan or whatever had what it was literally like they're all reaching up in the sky to try. He had 2 straight baskets. Spo likes to play small. That's the thing. He likes to play small. We know.
So, but Ethan, I guess the question for me here to kind of go for what Brian was leading to there is Miami. We've seen them; they're struggling to rebound. That stat of them, their rebounding percentage with Bam on the floor and then with him off is insane, right? 3rd to 30th in terms of that difference. They're struggling to rebound. They're also struggling to protect the rim, defend the rim there as well too. How do they survive?
They're still a top 10 defense, by the way.
True, which should be impressive, right? But it's still early.
The problem is getting into the paint. They're good at not letting you get into the paint, but once
because for the first time in years they've got 2 point of attack defenders at the point guard position.
Davion Mitchell,
Davion has been that's one of the best contracts in the league. That is an absolute steal. He's perfect for their system. He's also become much better offensively than he used to be. He gets in the paint. He makes plays. He's one of the best players in the league in isolation this year. I don't know where that came from. Last year, if you came to Miami, all of a sudden he became a shooter. He shot 45% from three. He's not shooting that this year, but as long as he shoots 35, they're fine.
Yeah.
And Drew Smith, the bionic man, torn Achilles, torn ACL, beats the timeline both times. Spo has insisted on this guy being on the team. People in the front office are like, we don't see it. He saw it. And Drew just makes winning plays, as I sound like Spo now, night after night after night. So they've got two bulldogs at the point guard position, and that along with Wiggins, Powell's been okay defensively. It ain't going to get better defensively when Tyler comes back, but
it's not.
Right. But with Wiggins and when Bam's in there, they have enough defensively. And actually Larson's good defensively, and Jaquez has been good defensively. So they have the core of a really good defensive team. But again, the defensive rebounding is the problem, because there have been so many times this year that they're giving up 15 more shots to the opponent. And it seems like every time they give up 2 offensive rebounds on a possession, it's a 3 after that. And that needs to be cleaned up, but I don't see where it's going to come from. Again, Bam's not a great rebounder on his own, but he changes the way that teams play just because he's so disruptive defensively, and that allows other guys to get rebounds. So they need him back. There's no question about it.
No doubt about that. When it comes to Norman Powell, did Miami fleece the Clippers here?
Oh my God!
Because can I tell you this? The day that trade went down, Bryan texted me. Bryan texted me the trade, and I was like, "Man, I love this for the Heat. Absolutely love this."
They thought the Clippers were joking.
Like, no, and I was like, "Why did the Clippers do this?" I mean, other than they probably didn't.
For
want to
people who don't remember, they got Norman Powell essentially in a multi-team deal, 3-team deal. Multi-team is a trade for Kyle Anderson and Kevin Love. It was basically all that left.
That seems like a fleecing to me. And I mean, Ethan had to answer real quick, but that seems like a fleecing to me, sir.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, if you think about it, well, first thing, they didn't call the Clippers. Clippers called them, okay? Because the Clippers knew that Beal was going to become available, and they wanted John Collins.
That worked out so well.
And so they reached out to the Heat, and the only sticking point, my understanding, was that the Heat and the Clipper reason didn't want him included. And so they had to kind of pivot, and that's why Kevin Love was included. The Heat did not want to include K Love. It was going to be Kyle Anderson and Haywood Highsmith. That was the plan. But because they wanted K Love to stay for the locker room. Okay. Mostly. Obviously that, look, you get for a 20-point scorer who's a low maintenance guy after you just dealt with Jimmy, who's also low maintenance court, doesn't take a lot of dribbles, fits in anywhere. Allows you some protection in case you can't extend Tyler Herro at the price that you want. So all of that plays into it. And honestly, I don't know where they would be without that phone call from the Clippers. Like, I think about it. If Tyler got hurt, what were they going to do? And Tyler gets hurt. It happens. It's happened a lot. Okay. Except for last season. So he's been tremendous. And it is absolutely the trade of the summer. I mean, the Magic gave up 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane. I know those picks was kind of tied to taking KCP off their hands, but even if it's 3 first-round picks, the Heat gave up 0 for Norman Powell, and Norman Powell has outplayed Desmond Bane so far. So it is absolutely the trade. And this is why the Heat, and you can't count on these things, but this is why they push back on fans who want them to give up everything for any star that comes available. This is coming up again now with the Morant thing. We would rather be opportunistic, okay? And in that case, they were incredibly opportunistic. They caught a break. They made the move, and he's been great since the minute he arrived, and he is going to get extended by them, by the way, because you're not introducing a guy last when Bam and Tyler are out, not extending him. They're extending him. It's just a matter of time at this point.
I want to ask, who do you think is going to lose, or who do you think is more exploitable for the shooting battle here? Because I do think this is interesting. Miami gives up the most threes in the NBA per 100 possessions. Teams are only shooting 32% against them. Combination of that is they've gotten lucky. Also, they've done a good job of like, you're shooting what? Okay, we're going to leave you open. Right. Like they kind of have stuck to more of their principles in that way. The Knicks also allow the 6th most attempts per 100 possessions. However, teams are shooting 39% against them. This actually dropped a little bit because the Orlando Magic game yesterday, Orlando shot about 36%. But teams are shooting the 5th highest percentage against the Knicks versus anybody else in the NBA. And in a shooting battle, I mean, the Knicks, even without Jalen Brunson, they're going to have shooters like Deuce McBride if he plays a bigger role. Jordan Clarkson, we'll talk more about starting lineup potential like later. But I mean, what do we think is, I guess, more exploitable here between both of those things?
Well, Brunson being out changes the equation, right? So quite a bit, because a lot of the Heat's problems against the Knicks are from Brunson basically collapsing the defense. Spo has had no answers for Brunson. They, as you know, they really haven't had any answers, period. In that playoff series, doesn't matter what coverages they've thrown at him, he's gotten where he's wanted to go. So I do think that does change the dynamic here a little bit in this game. To me, the problem for the Heat is going to be Towns. It was, if you remember that one game where he worked Bam, was that early last year, I believe?
Last year.
Yeah.
Because this year did not.
He did not. They were all off that night. I did not think that was
South Beach flu. Yeah.
There might have been a little of that. They didn't look right in that game.
And Bam's not there now, so that's
right.
Kind of
which is why Ethan's worried about the cat.
Well, I'm worried about wear on Towns.
Wear on him.
I don't know. Now maybe Khalil gets up for this game because he is playing against a guy like that. We'll see.
It's always maybe with him though, Ethan.
Well, that's the problem, and I that's where my feelings on it from listening to the network. I mean, he's talented. There's no question about it. There are times where he looks like, well, that's the next guy, and then there's other times where he looks like the next Hassan, and that's kind of where I'm in between on it. It's not a matter of not wanting to do things right, which was more the issue with Whiteside. It's more an issue of just forgetting what he was supposed to do and losing focus. And but now, see what Spo's doing now, though. Spo called out Ware, and we all made a big deal out of it, right? Because he called out Ware at Summer League right in front of me, right in July. We were stunned. Spo never does that.
By the
Unprompted. Well, he had he wanted to talk to us that day. Spo never wants to talk to us in the offseason. He wanted to talk to us, and he laid it out on Khalil. And then we said at the time, it can't just be Ware, though. If Spo's going to take this approach now and start calling guys out, which he hasn't done in 17 years, it can't be just one guy. And then last night he went at Jovic, who he has not gone at. Remember that he was comparing Jovic favorably to Ware. And last night he's like, I don't want to hear about the confidence stuff. So this is a new Spo in that regard also. But he's spread it out a little bit. And I think when you look at, again, this matchup, Jovic is one of the guys they're going to need to get something from.
Yes. Yep.
They're going to need to get something from him. And again, even without Brunson in there, Clarkson's given the Heat problems at times over the years too. So there's still enough players on the Knicks who can hurt them.
I want to ask you this. I want to combine two questions together because you talked about Tyler Herro. I know Brian's feelings on Tyler Herro, but you saw that, I guess, particularly if you look at the last game, that the Heat, I would call it, they blew the game to the JV Cavs, right?
Yes.
That I know is probably frustrating for the Heat fan. But do they still need Tyler Herro for his shot creation? One, Ethan. And then the second part that you mentioned earlier is there's going to be the talk from the Miami Heat fan base about should they trade for their star, especially with how they've started the season playing well and everything. So you're going to hear John Morant. There's been some AD talk. I know it was mentioned on Zach Lowe's podcast. Do they still really need Herro? Is Herro the person out? Should they be trying to trade for somebody else? Where are you on what the Heat need to do?
You have to take the total context on this. It's a very complicated question because I'm in this weird spot where now I've been switched from the anti-Herro guy to the guy who's always defending Tyler. And I don't know how that flipped. And I don't think Tyler's realized it because I think he still thinks I'm the anti-Tyler guy. This is kind of where I come down on it. He's a very good player. Okay. He's a very good offensive player who has gotten much better since the bubble. This bubble Herro stuff, that's not even a recognizable player to what he is now. He reads coverages better now. He's a better shooter now. He's more multidimensional offensively. He's developed counters. He's much better. And he was starting to play really well off the ball last year before Jimmy went off the deep end. And then the ball had to be in Tyler's hands every single time. Okay. They are happy with his work behind the scenes. They never have a problem with that. And I think he's a valuable guy. His archetype in the NBA And Bryan and I have discussed this. His archetype has been
great length.
Okay, right. Their teams are not investing or keeping one-way two guards anymore.
Right.
Okay, and that's what he is. He's never going to be great defensively. He competes. It's not an effort thing. Okay, there are some guys it's an effort thing. It's not an effort thing. He competes. He's got short arms. He doesn't have elite quickness defensively. He's not that big. It's all of that. And so teams are going to pick on him. I have no question how he's going to fit off in this new system. I think he's going to be great. I think him and Norm are going to be great together. Everybody's worried about him taking too many dribbles. He ain't here. Okay. He will adjust his game. He's still going to be an elite scorer. All right. But there's the looming question of the extension. And that's really what the issue is here. If you were talking about extending Tyler at his current money, I'd sign off and say $30 million. Great. Put him and Norm in the backcourt together. You add Davion there. You got a really good 3-man mix. You add Pelle Larsson. I like their guards. Okay. And Drew also. And I think Tyler can be a big part of it. And I think a lot of Tyler's struggles in the clutch last year was because he got blitzed. There was really nobody else out there with him who could make a damn play. Now there is. He's going to have Norm. Wiggins is more acclimated. Bam can pop out for a 3. There's lots of things they can do. Okay. But here's a question. If he wants $50 million a year, they ain't giving that to him. Okay.
I wouldn't do it either, but yes.
Well, you can't, because you can't pay Bam and Tyler $100 million to take you to the play-in. Like you, like that.
Then you become the Bulls of what we've seen the last couple of years. But yes,
right. So look, I think that's the thing. Like, but I also don't think he's a $30-35 million player. I think there's somewhere 3 years, 110. Like, can they come to some kind of an agreement on that? And if that's the case, then I still think he's a tradable asset down the road if you end up going a different direction. And I think you can try to make the case to Tyler that, look, first thing, no state tax, which everybody makes a big deal of that with the Panthers. I don't know why they don't with the Heat, but no state tax. And also, look, they've believed in him. They drafted him. He's comfortable with the head coach. The head coach has believed in him. The head coach has backed him. He knows the organization. He just did a commercial about how the organization wins. Okay. Like, he knows what he has in Miami. He likes the city. He's raising a young family.
He doesn't strike me as a man who wants to leave Miami at all.
He don't want to go to Utah.
Hell no.
You know what I'm saying? No apologies to Utah. Not really.
No, you don't have to.
But
you can be honest.
No,
he's not one of those white guys, basically.
No, he's the opposite.
It's like
absolutely.
It would look like he's around his people, but he's not really around his people.
No, he ain't around his people.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Tyler has a different
we should probably stop there. But look, I'm just saying, like, I think there's a middle ground for the two sides. Last year with Jimmy, there was no middle ground. He was torching everything. That's how it was going to be from the start. Now he's already complaining in Golden State. The honeymoon's over within 2 weeks. Okay.
Warrior fans are already like, this isn't the Jimmy we signed up for. And it's like,
he's taking 3. I know he had a game last night. He won't have one the next 2, and then he'll take 3 shots again, and they'll wonder why that's going on. Okay. Look, the Heat are happy to be off that merry-go-round. Thanks, Jimmy, for the memories, for lurching us to 2 finals, but it was time to go.
Almost
okay?
3.
With Tyler, I do think that there can be a middle ground reached, and I think they want to see what it looks like with him and Norm. Because look, Norm is in the last year of his deal. Tyler has an extra year after it, but they want to see if this backcourt can work. Can they click? Can this be one of the better backcourts in the NBA? If it can, I think you figure out a way. You've got $1 amount between the two of them, and you try to make it work. And if it doesn't look great, then we'll see who they choose. I think that's really where it's at. You talk about some of these guys. I would not trade for Ja Morant. You just saw Ja Morant at New York. What is that? What
7 turnovers in the first half, Ethan. It was terrible.
14 minutes. In 14 minutes.
In 14 minutes. And I don't think it's just him quitting or that the head coach doesn't know what he's doing, although maybe he doesn't. I don't think that's the same guy. His body's taken a beating the last few years, right? It is a Pat Riley reclamation project of the truest order. Okay. It is. It's like when they got Hardaway down here. When Hardaway was the third string third string point guard in Golden State behind BJ Armstrong and I believe Bimbo Coles or something like that at the time.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, we're going back.
Out of Golden State. And he and I know Ja is more dynamic than Timmy was at that point, but he can't shoot. So like, how is his game going to age?
That's my point.
right?
This is why I don't think
I
I've
agree with you, Ethan.
Yeah.
Ethan, I've given you a list of people I think that he should trade Tyler Herro for, and John Morant's not on that list and there's banter about it in the chat, so we could talk about it. But I don't think John Morant is a guy that they should go get. Maybe if you're getting him for nothing, but he's another one-way. He's another mostly one-way offensive star. But he's hyper athletic, can't shoot, could never shoot, and also you worry about injuries. And he's already sitting back-to-backs. He's not playing back-to-back nights.
But here's the other thing, Brian. The Heat are literally running the offense he hated.
Yeah,
that's a great point too. That's a great point too.
They imported LaRoche to be Spo. I mean, Spo finally took on a consultant after 17 years, and now he's going to say, no, this stuff's working, but we don't want to do it. We're going to have Ja run 3 million pick and rolls. No,
that's not what he wants to do. Would you have any? I'm just having you put the GM hat on.
You're throwing the AD thing out there.
Then we'll get the keys. Yes, AD is what I was going to go to, Ethan. Any interest? Do you think
that is the ultimate Pat move? And Pat has always coveted him.
I don't think the Knicks would like
for the 12 games he plays. I don't. I see a
little shade you doing.
Well, I mean that's the concern. Like on paper, would you trade Tyler here for Anthony Davis? Yes. Because it balances your team. Okay, you
it would
put
have
Bam
to be him
next
and Rozier's deal. So,
but see, nobody's taking. But see, that's the thing, though. The Rozier thing is so messy that if you're gonna look, we saw Bam and AD in the Olympics. Like nobody's scoring off that. Okay, if AD is healthy, and you still have Norm, and you still have Davion, and you still have you've got other pieces. Okay, you've still got Wiggins at that point. You still got. I mean that team could win the East, honestly, if you're going to get 70 games or prorated 70 games of AD. Are you getting 7 or 70? Because I don't know.
I would bet closer to 7.
Right. So that's the problem. Now we know the Heat are not a monolith now. Everybody thinks Pat Riley's been running this thing. He's not. Okay. They have Nick Harrison, Mickey's son, has had final say since 2011. People outside of Miami don't know that. People inside Miami, no matter how many times I tell them, don't know that. There's 7 people who make their decisions. Okay. Nick Harrison, Mickey Harrison, Adam Simon, Eric Spoelstra, Andy Ellisberg, Alonzo Mourning, and Pat. Okay. The 7 of them, and they've been together forever. And the 7 of them come to a decision. Okay. And sometimes one guy doesn't want to do something and he's overruled and it's a mistake. Like there was one guy who didn't want to do the Rozier trade and he probably should have put his foot down. And then there are other times that people are saved from themselves. Okay. But if it was just up to Pat, I'm just guessing, don't aggregate this. I think he'd want to go after AD. Do I think that? Do I? Because it's a Pat move. But yes. but do I think that others in there may be like, I don't know. Okay,
and I understand their trepidation. I would understand it.
Right.
So, Ethan, let me ask you this: do you think, and kind of bringing this back to the Knicks in a roundabout way, do you think the Heat could act mid-season? Because you and I talked about this, like they might just play this out and see what happens. But now they're 7-5, and they're a little bit above expectations while missing their 2 All-Stars right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they have movable contracts. They have more movable contracts than they've had during the Jimmy era. They have some picks that they can play with, not a ton, but they have more than they've had. Like, do you think with a whole bunch, it feels like a lot of names are going to be floating around, be it Ja, even though we just shot that one down, Anthony Davis, who knows what's going to happen with Trae Young or De'Aaron Fox and some of these other situations, like who knows? Like, do you think they could actually get frosty between now and the trade deadline and actually try to make a move to move into that Knicks Cavs tier, or at least the Magic Pistons tier?
I think they'll be opportunistic, but I don't think they'll be desperate. I think what we're seeing early this season is that some of their assets are increasing in value, and also increasing in cost to them. Like take a look at Jaquez, for instance. Okay, I think a lot of us wrote him off as an extension candidate this last season, right? He was bad. Like he was their second worst rotation player. Like he was pretty much unplayable. This year, he's been one of their top 3 guys. He's been one of their top 3 players since the start. It's been him, Powell, and Bam, right? Like I think have been their most consistent guys when Bam's been healthy. And so I think when you look at, and then Wiggins right after that. So I think when you look at that, you're like, okay, are you going to pay Jaime and Tyler and Norm. You're already paying Bam. You paid Jovic. Like, is this the team you're going with? Or are we getting into a position where maybe some of these assets have increased in value enough that they can headline a trade where we don't just sort of get lucky like we did with the Norm thing, but we actually have to go and get somebody? But I keep coming back to this, okay? And I know the Heat fans are going to get on me about this, and I'm not trying to sell T-shirts this time like I was 4 years ago. But, dude, if there's this is going to ask out of Milwaukee, and you've made a trade for and depleted your assets, okay? Sort of like trading 22 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges when you could have done something else. That may hit close to home. I mean, you can't.
A little too close.
If you're gonna gut, if you're right, if you're gonna gut your asset pool, it better be for the guy who gets you over the top, right? And I don't see Ja as that guy. Trey's not that guy. We know. I mean, you know, Brian, because I've said this repeatedly, the Heat are not high on Trey. They have not been. They've never been Spo's not a Trey guy. And there's others in there. So, you know, but I mean, for one of the top 10 players in the world, one of the top 5 players in the world, yes, you give up everything. Now, people are going to say, well, they didn't give up everything for Durant. They tried to make a deal for Durant. Obviously, they've coveted him for years. He's not, you know, obviously he's in his late 30s now. Phoenix wouldn't take the Rozier or Wiggins contracts. That was the issue. It wasn't that the Heat wouldn't include Highsmith or something like that. It's that Ishbia came back and said, okay, well, we're not going to take these 2 contracts, so you have to stack all these other contracts. So give us Jaquez, Jovic, Ware, Herro, picks, and they were like, for 37-year-old Kevin Durant, no. Okay. Right, yeah. For Giannis, yes. Okay. So I don't know that you burn everything now. You know,
I think the one that I'm watching for them is the one in Minnesota. Just in case.
That's the other one. He loves Spo.
Because Minnesota's been to the Western Conference Finals twice in a row.
Back years.
And if they're short of that this year,
they will be. Don't you think so?
They will be. Yeah, I think they will be.
And he's the kind of guy, Brian, to where you're thinking that you could see him asking out. I can see that. And
he has a contract, by the way, Anthony Edwards we're talking about, if people haven't caught on, but his contract runs through 2029. So ask out time would be within the next year or two. And he doesn't strike me as the type of dude that's going to be in Minnesota his entire career.
He strikes me as the kind of dude like Tyler Herro that would love to be on South Beach. He would love that. Last thing before we let you get out of it. That could be another.
But that is, we'll say that's the guy, and you suppose coaching him in the Olympics too. Remember, going to be coaching him in the World Cup. So yes, those are the targets.
That's a good point there.
Edwards and Bam makes a ton of sense.
Before we let you go out of here, Knicks and Heat playing back-to-back. They'll play Friday. They'll play again Monday. What do you think of the keys to this matchup? Especially as entering now, it looks like there'll be no Brunson. I don't expect to see Brunson in the second game either. We know he's definitely out Friday. No Bam, no Herro. What are the keys for your eyes on both sides of this matchup that both teams are going to try to execute highly in this matchup?
I wouldn't be stunned, by the way, if Bam's back Monday. Wouldn't be stunned. I'm not predicting it, but I think it's possible. I don't. He's closer than Tyler is right now. So I wouldn't be stunned. Tyler's going to require a ramp up. I think it changes a lot with Brunson out. Obviously, the Heat will change a lot of their coverages defensively. They're not going to be as concerned about penetration, that kind of stuff. You know, I think again, Towns is their issue now, especially with Bam out. They're going to have to throw extra bodies at him. I wouldn't be surprised if the Heat zone up a little bit in this game. The zone just killed Miami in that last Cleveland game. Spo will use it at times, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I don't think Spo's going to get away from anything he's done offensively. I think he's going to make a point to put the ball right back in Jaquez's hands in this game. Jaime did not play particularly well. He struggled with size. I don't think that the Knicks will put size on him necessarily, but I think OG probably is the guy who draws that assignment, and he'll be physical with Jaime. And so I think that's something to watch here. I think the games will be competitive even without Brunson. Again, we know that the Heat sometimes Brian knows this, when another team's star is out, the Heat go in the tank. It's been a consistent.
They play to their competition.
They do, and the Knicks have enough good players.
The Knicks kind of do that too sometimes, which infuriates the fan base.
Right. I think a lot of teams do, but it's just too close to home for me. But I look, I wouldn't be surprised if the teams get a split. I think honestly, both teams would probably be happy with that. Honestly, because if you don't have Brunson for 2, and you get a split out of this thing. And then I think in Miami's case, if you look at their scenario, if they can get out of this stretch without Herro, without Bam for a lot of it, okay, Powell missed 3 games also at 8-6. Considering the schedule that the Heat have had, where I think they've played in their first 12 games, 9 teams that made the playoffs last year. And actually, it's going to be 14 games. So it's going to be 14 that made the playoffs last year. A lot of these, majority of the games on the road. I think Miami's going to feel real good about where they sit at this point with Tyler and Bam coming back. So if you ask me to predict, I say the team's probably split these 2 games, and I don't think either team would be too unhappy.
Yeah, it's hard to beat a team, back to back, even in these home and home series. So it should be tough. Should be a good matchup. Eastern Conference Showdown, Knicks and Heat Friday, then again on Monday. That is Ethan Skolnick. Everybody check him out. 5 Reasons Sports does a great job covering the Heat. Ethan, I'm glad you survived Bryan here. He didn't antagonize you too much, as we know he's known to do. I survived him sometimes.
Mitchell Robinson just grabbed another offensive rebound, by the way. I'm telling you. You asked what the key is? 35 offensive rebounds tomorrow. That's probably what's going to happen.
We should also mention Ethan's Sports Illustrated takeover.
Oh, yes. I'm running the Knicks match. No, I'm not running the Knicks site yet. No, I'm not.
That's coming? Is that coming?
I was born in New York, so my first NBA games were at MSG. So I'm running the Heat, Magic, and Grizzlies pages for now. I'll get John traded to one of those teams. There you go.
You have that influence, Ethan. That you can make that happen. Ethan, appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
No problem. Once again, Ethan Skolnick, check him out. 5 Reasons Sports doing a great job talking about the Heat. Good stuff with Ethan there. A lot of good insight.
Great comment section also throughout.
Yeah,
East
a lot of you guys
size 9 disagreeing on the games.
I see that. Shout out to size 9. Shout out to East Blue Drew, Donut Dan. We saw you guys all up in here. The Wolf Perry was up in here. Hope you guys appreciate that. We like when we have these times where we're able to do these previews. We did it with Cameron Smith a couple weeks ago with the Bulls, and then we were able to do it here talking about these Heat matchups. I think it's really good for fans that sometimes don't get to watch these other teams closely to get that perspective, especially when they're going to play the Knicks. So, we like to do that for you guys, and we love the energy you're bringing in the chat. You know how we close things here? Real or not? They got some interesting ones.
Yeah, we did.
In terms of real or not.
Real quick before that, do you want the betting line for this game on Friday, tomorrow? Because it popped again now that Brunson's officially out.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Knicks are only favored by 3.5 at the Garden tomorrow. No props are up yet. I will be on the hunt for Mitchell Robinson rebounding overs.
I would too.
Maybe Towns also, but only 3.5. I was slightly surprised by that, but
I think that tells you that people. We'll get to this, but how shaky maybe the odds makers feel about the Knicks point guard situation
without Brunson.
Mm-hmm. That could be it. All right, but let's get into real or not. We got a couple minutes before we got to get out of here. Knicks have been one of the best teams in offensive rebounding rate this season. They're 6th in offensive rebounding percentage according to Cleaning the Glass right now. Knicks were number 1 at the beginning of this week. It's taken a bit of a trickle down, especially yesterday. They didn't get as much offensive rebounds, only 10. Mike Brown talked about how disappointed he was in that. So, real or not, the Knicks will be a top 3 offensive rebounding team this season. What do you say, Bryan?
How many games is Mitchell Robinson playing? Or how many minutes is he playing in those games? Like that's what it comes down to for me. If you tell me Mitchell Robinson doesn't really get that injured again and just mostly sits back-to-backs, like the second half of back-to-back, first half back-to-back, whatever's the least important. Like this past one, they did it right. You want him against Orlando, not Memphis. Makes total sense. And he's mostly playing otherwise. Maybe there's a rest spot here or there, but he plays, 50 more games, 55 more games at the minutes he's playing, then yes, I could see it. But if he has to miss time, like if he has to miss like a month or whatever, that's where it starts to get shaky. So this is basically a Mitchell Robinson bet to me.
It is. I'm going to say if Mitchell Robinson plays, I'm just going to even throw this number out here. If you get to, we talked about this on What Are the Odds episode last week. If he's around 60 to 65 games, yes. Anything below that, I don't feel good about this. It's not even just him. I do think he's the main factor, as Brian's saying. I think the other thing is the reason why I believe in this is the Knicks have been showing a concerted effort to crash the boards, particularly from the corners. The wings have been doing that. Even someone like Deuce McBride has been doing a good job on the offensive glass. I think that stuff matters, but it's all easier. Excuse me. It's all easier for this team when Mitch is in the lineup.
Karl-Anthony Towns, as of right now, tied for 10th in offensive rebounds per game.
That matters too.
But can't do it alone. We did mention, though, this last night, like even Jalen Brunson is crashing the glass, trying to get those second chance opportunities. Like it felt like they statistically, I need to see if it was as big of a swing as some of you may think, but it did feel like this was more of their identity 2 years ago. The offensive rebounds, the second chance points, second chance opportunities, like more of their identity.
The interesting thing about that, bringing it up with them with that 23-24 team, is that 23-24 team was not as good of a shooting team as this team is. And the shot diet was a lot different, excuse me, on that 23-24 team. It's almost like their offensive rebounding was a damn near necessity.
They had
that,
yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like it is the necessity that is this year, but it is a major part of this offense in having where they are right now as a top, 4 offense in the NBA. So we'll see. All right, moving along. If the Knicks have to play without Jalen Brunson, and it looks like they will, we do not know how long or how much, it could help the development of other players. Sometimes I look at injuries. You never want to see anybody at injuries, but sometimes it is the silver lining. It allows other guys to flourish that maybe don't touch the ball. It allows Tyler Kolek to get his opportunity to play more minutes. Good or bad, I don't know what that's going to be. Y'all let me know in the chat how you feel about Tyler Kolek getting some more minutes here with Brunson out. But do you look at this as a positive and that it could help the development? Is it real that it can help the development of other players with Jalen Brunson being out?
Yes. This doesn't mean it'll lead to more wins in the short term necessarily. When you're down, your best player is going to be tough. But the team is deeper this year. And even though they went, just 9 deep against Memphis, for example, you're still a deeper team. Having said that, the guys still need to perform well. Like, this is another opportunity for Tyler Kolek, potentially. Like we actually don't know, and we should talk about this, how this is going to look in terms of a minutes distribution. Who do we think slots into the starting lineup? Because Mike Brown hasn't had to prepare for this yet. I mean, he probably has, but you get what I'm saying. He hasn't had this actual outcome yet where Jalen Brunson's out. Do you think, 2 questions, who would you start? And who do you think Mike Brown starts? Because those don't have to be the same answer.
I think who I would start, Mike Brown starts, actually the same thing.
Deuce?
No, I think he's gonna. I think he's actually gonna start Tyler Kolek.
I think he's gonna start Kolek.
I do. Mike Brown has shown me early on, and this is where I'm gonna go with this, that he doesn't like to really disrupt the rotation too much.
Bo's the same way.
Going on.
Bo's the same way.
And so I think he's gonna start Kolek for a couple of reasons. Now, but I'm gonna say this caveat, guys. And East Blue Drew here said he's not starting Kolek, right? I understand your point. I understand what you're afraid of, and you're afraid of him getting eaten alive on the defensive end. And they're just going to put him in pick and roll actions over and over and over again. I get all that. He is the best ball handler and playmaker. Not ball handler, maybe. He's the best playmaker on the team. Naturally gifted playmaker in terms of passing and finding other guys. We've watched what Mike Brown has done when Mitch hasn't played. He put Shamet in there, who's typically playing 9th man, well, maybe 8th man minutes because Yabusele. Not 8th, 9th man minutes. And he put Shamet in there because it doesn't disrupt the rest of the rotation when you toss Shamet in there. I think he likes McBride off the bench. I'm also going to say this. Even though I think Kolek will start, that doesn't mean he's going to play the most minutes. And I say this all the time. People put way too much stock into who starts. Way, way too much value into that, right? I think Kolek will start, but I think you're only going to see Kolek like 15 minutes. And that's fine. I think he might want to get the offense on a good flow. If Kolek can hold his own defensively, you'll see the minutes go up and he'll play more minutes. But I think look for him to start tomorrow playing about 15 minutes. I could see that. I have no idea, but I'm just going off of base of what Mike Brown has done when Mitch has been out and how he's elevated Shamet into the role without disrupting the rotation minutes for the rest of the guys. I think just putting Kolek in there slots it and keeps everybody in their other spot. I have no information on that. I could be wrong. Would I be mad if Deuce started? No, but I think if you look at last night's game in particular, Bryan, against the Magic, you saw some of Deuce's limitations in terms of the ball handling, especially setting some stuff up with some turnovers. That's where Kolek's a little bit better than him. He's not Deuce defensively. We all know that. But we'll see. Hey, whatever minutes Kolek plays, whatever minutes he plays, this is a huge opportunity for him. I almost dare to say, and I don't know if you feel me on this, Bryan, this could be kind of like make or break. Show me what you got.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Like, are you going to stay in the league? Are you going to stay on this roster? Are they going to? Because this is going to be. I don't mean to cut you off, bro. This is a good evaluation point for them to look and say, okay, do we really need to upgrade to the backup point guard spot?
How ready are you?
Yeah. That's all I'm saying. But you go ahead. Sorry.
We saw this with Jericho Sims last season. He had an opportunity early on to get extended minutes, and then he wasn't on the roster after a certain point. Like he did have that opportunity when they were shorthanded,
You're right, though.
Where they needed him to play. Like Mitchell Robinson was out for most of the season last year, and they turned to Jericho Sims at some point, and it was what it was. And now he's a Milwaukee Buck, so he got another opportunity. No, go ahead.
No, if you're concerned about Kolek's defense, like East Blue Drew is, that's fair. I have no reason to not be. I don't disagree with you on that at all whatsoever.
That's why, to me, it could really be it might have been East Blue Drew actually who mentioned Shamet in the comments. I don't think it's going to be Shamet, because then who's triggering the offense at that point? So it's really one of three people: Kolek, Deuce, who I think are the two most likely, and the dark horse, may I present to you, Mr. Jordan Clarkson, potentially in the starting lineup. Like, those are the three guys to me. And I kind of am with you. I think he'll choose Kolek. I would roll with Deuce McBride. It just feels like the safest option. It feels like I'm setting the highest floor for the team with Deuce McBride there. I do agree with you that how important is like there's a world where Tyler Kolek plays the first 6 minutes of the first quarter,
right,
a short shift in the second, the first 5 minutes of the third quarter, and then you don't see him again. Like because all right, now it's Deuce time, or Jordan Clarkson has it going, whatever. And I think specifically for this Miami matchup, if you're going to play with pace, his playmaking and possibly shooting, if he hits some shots, could be very helpful. The issue is that team is not stupid. And they will find that man. They will find that man
here's the thing.
and over again.
If you want to see anything out of Kolek, he's got to get tested and pass the test or not pass the test. I'm big on this, and you know how I am about this, Bryan, in life and whatever you do. Hey, man, you got to jump in the fire sometimes.
At some point.
And you got to get tested. Either you're going to sink or swim, you're going to survive or not. Let's see what he's got. I wouldn't worry too much about who starts and who's not. I would worry and watch how does Kolek look in the minutes that he plays. That is the most important thing. If he doesn't look like he's playable, Mike Brown is not going to play him.
You know what?
So I'm not stressing about it.
I'm now rooting for Tyler Kolek to be the starting point guard temporarily.
Because if it works, it's beautiful for the Knicks. If it doesn't, they find out some answers.
There you go. It's like find out now.
You want to know. It's time now. It's time to know. You want to know.
You know what you have in Deuce McBride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Jordan Clarkson, you know what you have basically based on his career, what you're here for, whatever. Tyler Kolek is the one you want to find the most answers about. Let's see.
This is what the regular season is for.
And the team is good enough.
Yes.
The team is good enough around to where, and you trust Mike Brown if you're the Knicks. If it's not working, he will make a decision. But find out.
I have full faith in that. I'm not worried about it.
You.
I guarantee you.
You brought me completely to your side.
Yeah, if Kolek is looking like a straight traffic cone in the first quarter, he plays 6 minutes, and you don't see him again, I'm not mad that he started him. You tried. You needed to see what you have. This is a big opportunity for Kyle Kolek. I'm sure the coaching staff is preaching this to him. Players can get better. But it's about what you do with your opportunity, right? And size 9, I see in the chat, you're saying Kolek will be fine. None of us know. He could be. He may not be. But you also said Mitch is a bum, and I'm like, what are you talking about here? What are we like? Come on, Mitch is really good and really integral to this team. To say he's a bum, have you been watching how he's impacted the team offensively?
Unless he means Davion Mitchell. I don't know.
No, he meant Mitch. He was talking about Mitch Robinson.
I don't know.
Last thing, because we got to get up out of here. Gershon Yabusele for my last reel or not.
That was funny.
Will we see his minutes increase more? He is currently the 9th man on this team. He has played at least 9 minutes in 3 of the last 4 games, with 2 of those games being double digits. He played 10 and 15 minutes. I said during the Memphis game, and we will take an account that it was Memphis, and he played 15 minutes in that game. That was the best I saw him play all season. That was the best I saw him move up and down the court all season. Now, I still do not think he is fully in game shape, and he still needs to get there. But I do think he is trending better and could start to get some more minutes. Lee Escobedo was on with me earlier in the week, and he was right that they are going to need it. Let me pause for something real quick. Size 9, you asked what happened last night. People are allowed to have bad games. That was not on Mitch. A bunch of the whole Knicks team didn't play good. Mike Brown said so. So Mitch had one bad game, and now he's not good in his impact. If you want to even call it a bad game, he still had how many offensive of the 10 offensive rebounds did Mitch have last night? Didn't he have like the most of them? Didn't he have 5 of them?
I know he had 8 in total, and I'm sure a bunch of them were on offense.
Right. So that now he's bad.
Okay. So you're right now.
Come on, man. Where was Mitch? Bad games happened. The Knicks didn't play good last night. Y'all got to relax.
Mitchell Robinson, just to close the loop on that, had, wait for it, 5 offensive rebounds.
5 of the 8 offensive rebounds. Okay. 5 of his 8 rebounds were offensive. Excuse me.
Yeah, and 5 of the 10.
He had half of the Knicks offensive rebounds in a game which Mike Brown said they didn't do enough of a job on the offensive glass because it was their season low on the offensive glass, and he still had half of the team's offensive rebounds. But he's a bum.
One of the first things he told us at the press conference. Just the Yabusele point. I mean, look, that dude was thick when he came into the season. He was listed at 283, and he's a bigger dude. Like he's been 265, kind of more brick housey, and he is looking like he's getting into better game shape. And I do think that's part of why we haven't seen a ton of him. And I also want to note, like, he did play in Eurobasket. Eurobasket for France ended in early September because they were eliminated pretty early, which was a little bit of a surprise to some people, not necessarily to me. And you have training camp probably a few weeks after. So dudes were like Nikola Jokic, who's another guy that people from Denver were like, it was a little bit bigger this year. Just because you played in Eurobasket, like you probably didn't have much of an offseason. So some guys may have taken the offseason after, and now they're playing their way back into shape. Although Nikola Jokic is a special case because you saw what he just did last night. I would say that he'll be fine. But yes, I think to answer the question, the minutes will increase. I think Gershon Yabusele will be a factor in this team. It's going to take a little bit longer than probably we envision, but this is, again, what the regular season is for. I think by the time we get to January, if he's not playing better, maybe he's a guy you shelve and try to cut bait with before the deadline because it's a short-term contract anyway. And I think that's like they'll try to move the salary if it gets to that point, but I don't think it will. I still think he's a fit. He's going to shoot better, and I don't think he's a backup 5, but for now, for the time being, especially when Mitch isn't there, like they have used him in that way. And I feel like the results have been okay for the most part, though they haven't played like amazing interiors necessarily.
Yeah, and I think that's why it worked against a team like Memphis, where this is the perfect spot to play him the 15 minutes and have him play a little bit of backup 5.
Matchups matter.
I think I like what Mike Brown has done with the rotations. I like how he's been using the lineup. And so this is probably why I trust him to go back to the Tyler Kolek thing. So that's it. All right. That's going to do it for this episode of Knicks Weekly Live here with New York Got Game. More stuff coming up next week. We'll keep you guys posted on that. New episode coming on Monday. We also will be doing a watch party on Wednesday for the Dallas game. That'll be interesting. And then we also will have a really fun episode that I look forward to people seeing that we're going to record next week with me and Bryan. That should be fun. I'm very intrigued to see
how that
goes. That should be really fun. Knicks fans, once again, you can breathe a sigh of relief. Jalen Brunson only with a grade 1 ankle sprain. Maybe you won't be breathing that sigh of relief if Tyler Kolek gets carved up tomorrow, because I know some of y'all going to overreact like you're overreacting now about Mitchell Robinson maybe not playing good for one game. Y'all, I'm telling y'all, it's a long season. It is 82 games. You got to breathe. You got to trust the process. No Sixers, but you got to trust the process. You got to just chill. It's
82 games and 70 of them are left.
Yeah, like come on, man. And nobody's going to play the same every night. It doesn't happen. You have to learn how to win in a variety of ways. That is what the regular season is for. It's a new team, new coach with a new system. They're learning things. They're trying to figure it out as they progress through the season. If you think the Knicks are going to play the same way every game, that's not going to happen. That's foolish. I'm not saying that you are foolish. I'm just saying that that thinking is a little foolish. Y'all know basketball. Be patient. Enjoy. Watch it. Whoever you need to thank, whatever high power. At East Blue Drew, you're right. I know y'all crazy. I understand. You know what I'm saying? We all native New Yorkers here. I get the crazy. I'm just trying to get y'all. No Phil Jackson. I'm just trying to get y'all a little bit more zen with it. That's it. But, we appreciate the energy here on New York Got Game. Hope to see a lot of y'all next week for the live watch party. Should be fun with the Mavericks. Bryan and I got some more good stuff cooking. Another live show next week. We'll definitely do that. We'll talk to you guys. Hopefully everybody is good. Special thanks to our whole crew. Our producer, Tommy Cohen, doing a great job here as well. We have a New York Jets live watch party coming up tonight, later for you guys to watch. So stay tuned on the New York Post Sports YouTube channel. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Shout out to everybody in the chat. East Blue Drew, size 9. Everybody rocking on there. We appreciate y'all so much. We'll catch you next time. He's Bryan Fonseca. I'm Dexter Henry. We'll see you on another edition of New York Got Game. Oh, one thing I want to say before we go, I have to say, I don't mean to bring this down a bit, but it was a sad day for us here at the New York Post. I did a tribute to our good friend and colleague who passed away, Larry Brooks, the great NHL writer. I'd be remiss if we don't say we are dedicating this show to him and all the great work he did in the NHL community, all the young journalists that he helped inspire. Larry, we miss you. Our prayers and thoughts go to you and your family, and your legacy at the Post will always be remembered. Stay well, everybody. Be healthy. Peace and love. Catch you next time on New York Got Game.